I'm really excited today to be interviewing Jessica Holsman, a dynamic young woman from our community. Jessica, also known as Study with Jess, has an online YouTube channel and Instagram, and she's an international best-selling author, content creator, keynote speaker, and certified mindfulness and meditation coach. Her YouTube channel, Study with Jess, has received over 29 million views, and she's formed numerous partnerships with brands and organizations such as Netflix, Adobe, and Google. Today, we're going to learn more about Jess and her journey. But before we do delve into this interview, please remember to go to socialblueprint.org.au to see the full interview and all of our upcoming events in our community, and there are many, and check out all the resources our community has to offer. So welcome to you, Jess. Lovely to have you here today.
Thank you so much. It's great to be part of this. I'm very excited.
Well, while I have been researching this interview, I have become a Jess fan. You have done some incredible things. And at first, when I saw that you were Study with Jess, I just figured you had a tutoring business. And I'm like, okay, let's see what this interview brings. But wow, have I changed my thoughts on what that is about? So Jess has, for those of you who don't know, she has actually had movies, short films made that are targeting high school students, would you say?
Yeah, high school students, young adults, yeah.
And can you please tell us, what is your background before we begin?
Yeah, so my background is in psychology. I studied an undergraduate degree at Monash and then a postgraduate diploma at Deakin University, but I have a very non-linear career journey. That's, to say the least.
I agree. So you've done that study, and did you ever plan to be a psychologist?
Yes, I had a 10-year path planned out. Actually, it was more than a 10-year path. I think I had my entire life planned out, at least I thought I did. So I always thought that I would practice psychology, perhaps lecture and be a supervisor, and then also go into private practice. And so I was 6 months into my PhD at Deakin. I was given a full scholarship to study a PhD, and then expected probably 1 year into that to also add on a clinical master's. And that's when everything started to change for me, and I had the idea to start my own business and launch my YouTube channel, and I had to really pivot and let go of the life that I thought was going to be my future and embrace the unknown and really back myself and do something that was quite different but still grounded in that intention of helping people.
That is interesting. What can you identify a pivotal moment that made you realize, like your light bulb moment?
There was a light bulb moment, and it was something that I had never experienced in my life before. I remember sitting in my parents' kitchen at the time, and I was just overcome with this wave of emotion and passion, and I felt like my intuition or my soul was really speaking to me, and what was coming through is that I really wanted to be a positive role model, and I wanted to help students. And I definitely stressed a lot when I was in my final high school year, and even when I was studying my undergraduate degree, and I did really well academically, but it was in spite of all of that stress, and I didn't have that go-to role model and source of support that I wish I can really be for other people. And I think that that's where the intention really came from. It was this need to make a positive difference and help people, but also honor my authentic self and allow myself to do it in a really creative way. And I think, looking back, all of the things that I studied throughout my psychology academic journey, initially when I did take that leap and start my own business, there was that fear of, well, what if it's all for nothing? I worked so hard in high school to get into this desired degree, and then I worked so hard in my undergraduate degree to get into my postgraduate diploma, and then I worked so hard to get into my PhD and get a scholarship, and then what for? What if that was all going to be for absolutely nothing? And it's amazing because now with hindsight, I can look back and connect the dots and see how everything that I had done served me in some way, whether it was the communication skills that I learned from volunteering on a crisis helpline, or the organizational skills I learned from writing a 45,000 word thesis that then really assists me in writing my books today, which are, a little bit longer in word length, but even just connecting with and supporting my audience as well. All of these life skills that I took from my studies serve me in such incredible ways now in running my own business. So while I did not stick with psychology, I'm always drawing on a lot of the skills that I take from my studies.
And so what I've just heard is you were driven really to kind of be a mentor to others, because you didn't have that specific mentor, which I really relate to. And that's a really brave step to leave behind what you've known, but you were able to use all the tools and to move forward. So how did you start?
Well, I'm also one of those people who likes to jump and think later. So I think that actually really serves me in a really positive way, because I wasn't overthinking everything. I didn't even realize what it takes to start my own business.
Perfect.
I thought it was going to be really straightforward, really simple, how hard can it be? And even writing my books, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll write a book, no worries. And then, you actually start getting into the process, or you finish the process and you realize it's a really taxing process to embark on. But so for me, it was just embracing this newfound sense of passion and going with it. And so initially it, for me, looked like starting my YouTube channel. I was also designing some different study stationery as well to be complementary resources for my audience, and then allowing everything to unfold really organically. So all of the opportunities that I have been able to seize throughout this process of my career over the last 8-9 years, they've all come out of the blue. So I know that it's not just dumb luck, because I'm working hard, I'm putting out content, I take a lot of pride in what I put out into the world, and there's always that intention to be of service to others and make that positive difference. And I think that that's then what attracts the right kind of partnerships and collaborations or projects. But so, over time, I've had the opportunity to work on several web series. I've written 2 books. I've been doing more public speaking, and also just connecting with people on a global scale. They used to call themselves Jessicats on YouTube, my viewers. So back when I started, I think that was really common, that a lot of YouTubers would give their viewers a special name so that they felt like they were part of that community. And so I think it was maybe a few months into starting my channel, and I'd really gotten this following and built, started to build on my community. Someone put forward, well, what are you going to call us? And I said, well, what do you think? Do you have any suggestions? And someone said, well, what about Jessicats? And my husband, Adam, who was my boyfriend at the time, laughed because my little cousin used to call me Jessie Cow when she was little, because it's just how she pronounced my name. So it went from Jessie Cow to Jessie Cats. But
preferable.
Yeah, definitely a better option. So it's funny how it all just plays out and comes together.
So did your first thought be to write a book, or was it to start a short film series to get the message across? What was your first step?
So the book came first before any of the web series, and it's really interesting how that opportunity came about. So I'm much better at traveling now, but I never used to love flying. And I remember being on a flight to Queensland with my family, and so to help pass the time and to act as a really good distraction, I got out my laptop and I started to write what ended up being some of the very first blog posts on my website, studywithjess.com. And I was probably 2 blog posts in when I had this idea of, there's a lot of content that I have here, and I really love writing. Never used to love reading when I was growing up. That happened later. Now I love reading, but I really always loved writing, and I've loved creating and always making something that's going to help others. And so I'm 2 blog posts in, and I just have this idea. And I turned to my mum, who's sitting on the left of me. You can be my mum for now.
Thank you.
And I said to her, Mum, I'm going to write a book. And without any hesitation, she just looked at me and she said, I know you will. And it was probably 3 months later that I'm at home in the study, and I open up my laptop and I go to check my emails, and there's an email there, and it reads, Hi Jess, my name's Hugo. I'm the editor here at Mango Publishing Company in the US. Have you ever considered writing a study skills book? If you're interested, let me know. Warm regards, Hugo. And I just remember looking out the window thinking, like, just looking up at the sky, whoever's looking down on me, thinking, you are joking. I never thought it would happen that quickly.
Yes.
But that story also reminds me, and it's one that I love to share with others, because it really signifies the importance of believing in yourself, dreaming big, but also dreaming out loud and actually speaking those words. And I think because I had that belief in myself, and I knew that I wanted to do something that was going to be a positive benefit to others, I think that somehow I was just able to attract the right people to assist me in the next stage in my career.
That is incredible, and that is really a message to everyone that dream about it, it can happen.
Yeah, dream big, dream out loud, and really just know that you can do anything. I love how my mum's always said to me, you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
Yes.
And so that's where you have to learn, how much can you actually take on, but knowing that, there's no reason why you can't do anything. I hated reading growing up. Grammar was never a strong skill of mine, but being able to express myself through writing came naturally.
Incredible. Yeah, I'm speechless. How you are really being true to yourself, and you're getting this message across. So I believe that you also used to do a lot of dancing.
Yes.
And that might have also helped you with the confidence to get this all started. Now, acting. For any of you who haven't seen Study with Jess, it's less than 10 minutes just to see one little film, and it's worth it. You'll know what we're talking about on YouTube. Did you have any acting classes?
Oh, so you're talking about the
now back
the
to
web
the film.
series? Yes. Okay. So, Life of Jess we released on my channel about 4 years ago, and that's where I got to play my 16-year-old self. So I was in my mid to late 20s, and I got to play my 16-year-old self. So lucky for me, I look younger than I am, so that was fun. And we had a cast of professional actors playing characters that were loosely based on my own high school friends. And I had no acting experience whatsoever. And I actually remember showing up to set on day one, and I didn't even realize how big the production was going to be, because I was co-producer, co-creator of it. But so we had a director and other producers. And so I didn't realize we were going to have a cast of, like 50 people, including extras. And, we had sound guy, props guy, gaffer guy. We had a runner. There was a videographer. It was, hair and makeup and wardrobe. It was very intimidating, mind you. And I think because I was around professional actors, I felt the need to be not perfect, but to still be exceptional.
Yes.
What if it's really clear, because you're putting someone that doesn't have any acting experience next to professional actors? How is that going to look? And I was super anxious in that moment, and I really had to work with my nerves and realize that was just self-doubt creeping in. That was my inner critic being really loud, and it wasn't about being the best actor on set. It was actually about coming together to put something together that was going to be really impactful and inspiring, and allow my viewers to relate to my own experiences and show that I can empathize with the challenges that they're going through too. But so to really feel like I was prepared for some of the scenes, because in episode 5 my character has to appear as though she's infatuated with this exchange student who is serenading her at a party. I remember, because we filmed the series up in Brisbane over 3 weeks, I sat in the hotel room on the bed, and the wardrobe was made out of mirrors. And so I had the song that we had recorded him singing that he was going to lip sync to film the episode just on repeat. And I would look into the mirror and just try and embody this 16-year-old infatuated girl and just pull different faces. And I'd be like, it was almost like coordinating or choreographing a dance, but with my eyebrows and my mouth. So, there would be certain times in the song where I'm like, hey, this is a really good time to maybe like turn the head and look at him and raise an eyebrow, or kind of blush or shy away. And the scene turned out great, but don't for a second think that I knew what I was doing initially. But sometimes you just have to fake it till you make it, or wing it, and know that you can do it. You just got to practice.
I thought you did very well, because knowing that you had dance experience, and so you'd been on stage, and then it just looked so natural. So did you pitch your idea to Film Australia or Screen Australia? Did you pitch it to them, or did they come to you after you'd written your books? How did that come together?
A bit of both. So I was invited through YouTube to be on a panel up in Queensland, and afterwards I was just sharing about my own experience as a YouTube creator, and afterwards 3 ladies came up to me, and they are the co-producers of the series, and they said to me, we'd love to work with you on something. We love your story, and we feel like there's something there. And so we kept in touch, and we formulated this idea of Life of Jess. And then once a year, Screen Australia and Google partner together on an initiative called Skip Ahead. And that's where there's anywhere from, I think, like 3 to 6 YouTube creators that are selected from their pitches to have their series funded. And so that was the first opportunity that we thought, let's try and get funding for this. And we were successful.
And they helped you with that pitch?
Yes, so the 4 of us worked on it together, and then submitted that to the Skip Ahead program, and got the call saying, we'll fund your project. And then later that year we filmed it, and it went up onto my channel.
I can just imagine living with Jess, there would be quite a few moments where you're dancing around the house, screaming and dancing with excitement.
Yes.
Is that what's been happening?
Yes, but I also think living with Jess, there's a lot of highs and lows. Like, bless my husband. He's so supportive.
That's
because running your own business and having to back yourself and work through those fears, and it's a lot. It can take a toll. You have to really trust in the process and always remember your why.
Yes. So I've got lots of questions. Your why. Now, you're trying to get a message out there. Do you like being in the limelight?
In my career, love it. In my personal life, not so much. I think it's easier to be in the limelight when you have a goal in mind, when you have a greater purpose.
Yes.
So even I remember one of my first public speaking events that I did, I was in the lead up, so nervous. I remember sitting in bed the weekend before crying to my husband Adam, because I was just overcome with fear. And it was this concern of, what if people judge me? What if I mess up? And what really helped me to shift from fear to being more confident and having a greater sense of faith in the process was, well, it's actually not about me. It's what can I give them? How can I be of service? And so if I'm focusing on the content I'm delivering, then as a result, I'm going to be in the limelight, but it's actually not about me. It's about the work that I'm doing. And so that makes it a lot easier, because I no longer feel like I'm concerned about being judged, because I know that what I'm going to put forward can help people, even if it's just a tiny little piece of advice or inspiration that they can take from a talk or from a video. Then I've done what I needed to do. I showed up, and it's the trust in the process, and knowing that it's not about people judging you, it's about how can you help others.
I love that. Tell us about a time that you might have felt out of your depth in what you've been doing.
All the time. All the time, honestly, because there's always new things happening in my business and just in life. I mean, if anything, it's such a good question to ask about life, because we're always facing new obstacles and new experiences, and there's always change happening.
Yes.
And I've just had to learn to trust that it's going to be okay, that I can figure it out, that there's always support there. You don't have to do anything on your own, but also you're not meant to. You shouldn't have to do everything on your own. We're not designed to live in silos and to create in isolation. You know, we actually need the support of other people. Thank goodness for my friends, my family, my husband, the support that I get from them, my life coach. You know, that's what helps me to get through those times. And I think also just having that trust in the process as well, and drawing on times where I have felt out of my depths, I have had to face something new, but I got through it successfully. Then the next time that it happens, I can actually look back on previous circumstances or situations and say, well, you know what, I got through that, and I got through that, and I figured out how to build my own website, or I figured out how to negotiate with one of the biggest brands in the world, or I figured out this new editing software, whatever it is. And so if someone asks me, well, you know, do you know how to do this, or can you do that, or it's just a really daunting experience because it's new and the stakes are high, like a web series or a book deal, that I can just remind myself and dial down the volume of my inner critic and say, I can do this. And I think also this feeling of you know, worry or anxiety, it's really normal.
Yes.
We all get it. I think, you know, my husband was telling me that some of his favorite footy players, because he's a mad AFL supporter, you know, they still get really anxious before a game, or there are, you know, celebrities that still throw up before they go on stage.
Yes.
And one of my favorite things, I reckon it's called an acronym for this idea of fear. It's a new definition or a new way of looking at fear that I put forward to my viewers recently. Fear is FEAR, and it stands for false evidence appearing real.
Yes.
So there's no actual lion about to chase you. There's no real danger there. It's just that it's something new, it's unfamiliar, it can feel daunting. We feel out of our depths. We want to do a really good job. And so we don't necessarily feel our most confident selves in that moment. And that's okay.
Yes.
That's totally fine, because that's normal. The only way that you can really then get through it is to face that fear, that false evidence appearing real, and show up and focus on the goal or the intention behind whatever it is that you're doing. And again, just trust it's going to be okay. You've done things before, you can do it again. It's just looking a little bit different.
I love that your messaging is something you've actually lived in your short life. You're actually putting yourself out there and you're learning these lessons. So you're sharing them with true, authentic experience.
Yeah. I think a lot of the content I post up, or maybe all of it now, is very much drawn on my own life experiences and my own challenges. And I don't think that life is ever going to be short of challenges, so I'll never be short of content.
It's true. So Jess, you tell us that you are fully self-taught, which is really impressive. How do you deal with the business negotiations when you're dealing with these companies that you're forming relationships with?
Great question. I think it's very different nowadays. I think a lot of information is more public, so it's easier to figure out what should one be charging for a brand sponsorship on Instagram or a dedicated YouTube video. For me, initially, it was basically price it. When you get a yes, keep pricing it up till you get a no. And I was just very scrappy. I think, you know, I just figured I've got to figure it out on my own. I didn't have anyone else in the industry that I could go to for advice at that time. Fortunately, a few years into starting my channel though, I did for about a year sign with a it was a influencer management company, and so they actually created my media kit. I mean, now there's templates on websites like Canva, and you can have this beautiful media kit, and it'll show you essentially what sort of information a brand would be looking for, and then you can just customize it yourself.
Gee.
It's a little like fun tip or hack, word of wisdom here. But you know, I was able to see an example of what my media kit should look like. They were then able to show me their average rates that they would be promoting my services at, or other creators of a similar size to me, and even just being CC'd on the emails, knowing how they are in communication with another brand was really helpful too, just so that I felt more equipped to then go and do it on my own again. And so nowadays I handle all of that on my own. I just didn't feel that there was a lot of benefit in delegating that and having someone else manage that side of my business when I can do it on my own and I have the bandwidth to do it as well. But initially it was just give it a shot, you know, pull a number out of the air, what seems reasonable. And I'm sure that I probably wasn't charging enough initially, or maybe at one point I was charging too much, and then you just find that happy medium.
Yes.
But that's just an example of one of the many, many things that I had to teach myself from the beginning, in addition to videography, editing, using different editing software, you know, designing stationery, working out distribution.
Yes.
I built all my websites. You know, I was the one that put together studywithjess.com, or when I had the stationery line, I put that website together as well. And it was always this mentality of, if I don't know how to do something, it wasn't that black and white thinking of, oh, I can't do it. It was just, I don't know how to do it yet. And it's this idea of, well, if other people can do it, then so can I. It's just going to take some time, however long. And so there'd even be brands that would approach me saying, you know, hey, we'd love to partner with you on designing your own website. So Wix was one of them, for example.
Yes.
I'd never used their software before. I hadn't at the time built my own website. And so I said to them, yeah, sure, no worries. And then for the next 9 hours, I taught myself how to use Wix.com, how to customize my own website. But because I didn't want to turn down opportunities, and I knew that it could be a really good fit. So, you know, whether it's negotiating with brands, or someone asks me to do something that is quite unfamiliar, like script writing and putting together my own web series, or hosting a docu-series, or public speaking, or writing a book, if it's something that excites me but I don't know how to do it yet,
Yes.
I'll just tell them I know how to do it, and then I'll go figure it out. And I think that that's a really good approach to have. It's that growth mindset, that dynamic mindset, and we're not limiting ourselves and turning down opportunities that, one, will really help us expand and increase our confidence, but two, could be a really great fit and another avenue for putting something amazing out into the world. So I'm all about just believing in yourself and figuring it out as you go. And when in doubt, just Google it. My first video that I posted on my YouTube channel, we had filmed it, edited it, and then I literally went on YouTube and I wrote in, how do I upload my first video onto YouTube? Because I had the video there and I didn't even know how to put it on my channel.
Yes.
And then I just watched a little tutorial and there it was. So, you know, that's just my approach to running my business, but it's worked out so far. So I think it's okay.
So impressive. So very impressive, Jess. Amongst all of the work you've done, and during these 9 years since you began, have you now found a mentor for yourself? Do you have somebody that you think, how would they do it, or somebody you discuss it with?
I don't have a mentor per se. I do have a life coach though.
Yes.
Who has been such a huge support for me since 2019. So it's been a few years now. And the way that came about was also out of the blue and very much synchronicity there. I was part of an incubator program for creators, and they, as a result, granted us, I think, 6 sessions with this life coach. And over time, I've just built that rapport with him. And so whenever I need that advice, whenever I want to bounce ideas off with someone else, if I'm feeling lost in my career and I don't really know what's next, or I'm doubting in myself, or I feel like I'm going to burn out because I'm taking on too much, then I have that support. So I think in a sense I do see him as my mentor.
Yes.
But he's also the life coach / business psychologist, I would say. Yeah, definitely playing that big role of support. And then also just making sure that I'm in contact with like-minded creatives.
Yes.
I think your vibe attracts your tribe, but your tribe affects your vibe at the same time. So I'm always mindful of the company that I surround myself with, and I really try to put myself out there and be more open to not so much networking, but connecting with others so that we can continue to inspire one another and also support each other.
I love that. It's a really good way of saying it, because I think network is a bit of a dirty word, but to connect, yeah, I actually relate to that. So hopefully everyone else does too. Do you have any other projects on the works at the moment that you want to share with us, or any messages that you want to leave to the audience?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm releasing another mini series on my channel, which is more around career clarity and career guidance, and that's a partnership with another organisation. And then as far as what's next, so my career honestly just works in those waves, and so there's those really busy periods, and then I'm really learning to savor those times where I can focus more on just filling up, not even filling up my cup, but I say filling up my well, so that I have enough within me that I can then give to others. And so I've just been really focused on getting my energy back and making sure that I'm my best self, so that I can continue to be inspired and create. And I think that that's something that a lot of us struggle with, is that we fail to see the value of rest in productivity, but you can't have one without the other.
Yes.
And I think, even when I was in high school or university as a young student, I wasn't creating that sustainable approach to studying or my lifestyle in general. So I think just because of where I'm currently at in my own life, my one piece of advice is just to remember that you cannot have productivity without rest, and that it's okay, and it's actually really important to take a bit of time out for yourself. And I know, for any students that are watching this, or anyone that's been, burning the candle at both ends, trying to build up their career or running their own business, it's a lot to take on. And one of my favorite things that my yoga teacher said in class the other week was, you do not need to earn rest, it's there for you to claim. And what would it look like for you to be well rested enough for you to show up and do your most loving and impactful work? And so that's also a lot of the messaging in my most recent book, Work-Life Balance Survival Guide, that I really try and convey to my audience now.
Thank you. Well, everyone, I hope that you are now as impressed with Jess as I am. And I want to thank you very much for watching this interview. And please share this link with other people to this video and to the Social Blueprint at socialblueprint.org.au to find community events and resources and message boards and many more videos like Jess's. Please share. Thank you.